Hare Krishna. Jai. So wish you a very, very happy and blissful Kamada Ekadashi. Today is Ekadashi and today is a feasting day for the devotees. Fasting from beans and grains and feasting on the holy names. So these two things. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as he writes in the Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in the song, Madhava Tithi Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori. He writes about that how Madhav Tithi, all the Tithis connected with the all the holy auspicious days like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, Ram Navami, they are called as Bhakti Janani because they are called as mother of devotion and they increase the devotion multiple times. So he said Jatana Palana Kori. So Jatana Palana Kori means these are the days to be very Krishna conscious. On the ordinary days, we generally leave our schedule the way the life is going on. But especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes also in one of the books, he writes, devotee should regularly monitor his lifestyle. So he said devotee because yesterday we were discussing about the word contemplation and we discussed about how by little contemplation also one can understand the subject matter very nicely. And as I said yesterday, Radhesham Prabhuji was mentioning that many times devotees do a lot of sadhana, but what sometimes misses is contemplation. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also writes that from every Ekadashi to Ekadashi, 15 days, we can take a record of our life. Like in accounts, we check na, how much kharcha we spent, how much income was there, and how much more is to be required. So similarly, we can take a record of our life from Ekadashi to Ekadashi. And Ekadashi is especially meant for one purpose, that we can overcome bodily conception of life. So why I spoke about Ekadashi? Ekadashi helps us to overcome bodily conception of life. Because we are in bodily conception of life, every day we find so many, like recently, I had gone to one college in Pune that is called as MIT. So MIT has a slogan as World Peace University. They are trying to establish world peace. And we are trying to sign a contract with them for teaching some world peace and all those things. So we were designing for the first booklet, and I thought what to write. World means what will be the title of that booklet? So we designed some courses and all. And first module I designed getting inner peace means from in because from first inner peace is very important. We are trying to make Vishwa Shanti, but there is Atma Shanti only is not there. Atma or andar man ki Shanti is not there. What kind of Shanti we can bring to the world when there is no man ki Shanti? So when the man ki Shanti comes, when the six whips of the six anarthas which are troubling the people, and this all anarthas are troubling mainly because of this one thing. This is mainly because of bodily conception of life. And we see every day, we begin our day, and early morning only so many plans, and all plans are related to body only. Yesterday, His Grace Radhesham Prabhuji was sharing with us in the camp, Vrinda camp, that even astronauts when they want to go to space or moon, they also sometimes don't eat food for months together. Then how do they survive? How do they survive? They just take some tablets. They just take some capsules. Now I asked why. They can carry some food, na? They can carry some sandwich and they can carry something, biscuits and all, cookies. The reason is they have to pass stool for that. They have to go to washroom. And in space, you cannot go for washroom. I said, why they cannot go for washroom in space? He said, how to go for washroom? Because there is no gravitational force, is the ulta. So he said, the motion will not happen only, he said, because everything will fly only there. So he said, that's a very struggle. So they also take some capsules. So Projo was mentioning one point. If we regularly observe our life, every day we are doing the similar same activity, getting up early in the morning, feeding the body, again evacuating, again feeding, again evacuating. And Projo was sharing, evacuation has become very big business. As soon as evacuation happens properly, devotees are very blissful. There is a smile on the face of the devotees, and people are very happy. Nice, very great project done for today. But again, we feed the body. So he said, if we really observe, this has to be done to maintain and take care of body. But when one understands, so I'll ask you some now. I'll just ask one question to all of you now. because we are discussing this topic called as Kshetragna, Vibhaga Yoga. The difference between Kshetragna, and the difference between. So, what all questions you can frame about body and super soul, especially about, you can write some questions in the chat box, whatever questions come to your mind about body, related to body and related to super soul. Like I can ask some simple questions as WH questions we write, no? We can write what, when, why, how, where, when. So you can just frame some questions and let's try to see the answers. Do we get answers from here in Bhagavad Gita? Because the questions we'll ask, I assume that similar answers we'll get in Bhagavad Gita, the next shlokas. That's why you can write some questions based on, because this is a PhD topic on body and super soul. So whatever questions come to you about super soul, you can ask about super soul in the chat box. And whatever questions come to you about body, uh, why body was created, how body was created, what happens, means just you can write some questions related to body in chat box. You can just write 3 4 questions. Okay. Okay. Anil Pro is writing, what is body? Okay, very good. Aman Pro is writing, who is the controller of the body? Why we get body? How soul and body got connected? Hari bol. Jai, amazing. How they are कौन से फेविकॉल ने चिपकाया है soul और body को? How super soul looks like? Wow. Is there a way we can see super soul? Where is the super soul situated? What is its size? Amazing. Is the body working on its own or is there anything running? Petrol. Okay. Amazing. So you can keep on writing some few questions and let's see, because Krishna is, what is the purpose of the body? Okay, fine. So how matter nature binds the body, and what, is there any controller of body? Okay, you are, I think all of you are exactly asking the questions which you know that answers are there. So all of you are asking similar questions. Why body dies? Okay, amazing. So let's come to the reading or recitation of the shlokas. I'll again recite the shlok. Okay, let the questions keep on. Questions can keep on coming. We can check in case some question is not answered. No problem. What I will do is, because as I said, the shloka recitation is a very important part of our the studies. So I'll recite the shloka. One devotee can recite the shloka, and one devotee can be appointed to just repeat. And all of us can be muted and repeat. And one devotee will speak on mic. Okay, I'll recite the shloka, and one devotee can repeat after me. Okay, so let's recite the shloka. Shantanu, you can appoint someone to recite after me. Hmm?
Okay, Guruji. Yes. So, Anil Prabhu.
Yeah. Arjuna uvacha
अर्जुन उवाच
प्रकृतिं पुरुषं चैव
प्रकृतिं पुरुषचैव
क्षेत्रं क्षेत्रज्ञमेव च
क्षेत्रं क्षेत्रज्ञ एव च
एतद्वेदितुमिच्छामि
एतद्वेदितुमिच्छामि
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं च केशव
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं च केशव
श्रीभगवानुवाच
भगवान् उवाच
इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय
इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय
क्षेत्रम् इति अभिधीयते
क्षेत्रम् इति अभिधीयते
एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः
तद्यो वेत्ति तं प्राहुः
क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विद
क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदा
क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि
क्षेत्रं ज्ञां चापि मां विद्धि
सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत
सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत
क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोर्ज्ञानं
क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञोर्ज्ञानं
यत्तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम.
तज्ज्ञानं मतं मम.
So I think we had not done the purport reading for this shloka. But basically this purport is quite similar only. Yesterday already we discussed. Here Prabhupada is writing about, you should understand that I am also the knower in all the bodies. You may be knower only in your body, but I am also cha api. And to know the body and its knower is called as knowledge. So I think if we already discussed an analogy of painter and easel, and also the king. King may know about everything about the field. And so cha word indicates total number of bodies. How as many number of bodies are existing, the person who is knower of all those bodies is called as cha. Cha means he is knower in all the bodies, and that is super soul. Now fourth shloka. Tat kshetram yaccha yadrukcha
तच्छेत्रम यच्च यादृच्च
yadvikari yatascha yat
यद्विकारी यतश्च यत्
sachayo yat prabhavascha
सच्चयो यत्प्रभावश्च
tatsamashena me shrunu.
तत्समासेन मे शृणु.
Yeah. So this is the fourth shloka. And he's telling, okay, you are interested in the topic of body. And now hear the brief description. And I'm going to speak something about body, about whatever questions you asked in the chat box. Okay. So he's going to ask, please hear from me in brief the description of the body, how it was made, what all changes the body undergoes, when the body was produced, and who is the knower of the body, and what all influences the knower can do. So this is the fourth shloka. Yes, Prabhu, you can just read the purport.
The Lord is describing the field of activities and the knower of the field of activities in their constitutional positions. One has to know how this body is constituted, the material of which this body is made, under whose control this body is working, how the changes are taking place, where from the changes are coming, what the causes are, what the reason are, what the ultimate goal of the individual soul is, and what the actual form of the individual soul is. One should also know the distinction between the individual living soul and the super soul. There are different influences there. तुझे क्या रखी ब्रा?
Influences, their potentials.
Yeah, there are different influences, their potentials, etc. One just has to surrender this Bhagavad Gita directly from the description given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all this will be clarified. But one should be careful not to consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every body to be one with the individual soul, the Jiva. This is something like equating the potent and the impotent.
Yeah. So here, this is a fourth shloka. Here he's asking, means Krishna is speaking that I'm going to talk some more 6 topics which I'm going to talk about. That is, I'm going to talk the whatever questions you ask. As we understand, Kshetra means body, and Kshetragnya means soul. So here Krishna is saying, let me speak additional information to you about this body. So I'm going to speak some 6 topics about body to all of you. So you can see the shloka and underline the words. So the first word says, the fourth shloka, no? Yaccha vikari. So Yaccha means composition of body. Yaccha. Then so if you see the shloka, after tat kshetram comes Yaccha. Yaccha means what is the composition of the body? What the body is composed of, that Krishna is telling. Okay, I will tell you answer to this question. Then what are the qualities of the body? What all qualities are there? Means what is the nature of the body? What all qualities come? So this word is indicated by yadruk. So yacha, yadrukcha. Yacha, yadrukcha. What are the qualities of the body? And the third word comes is vikari. If you see in the shloka, third is vikari. So vikari means, what is the meaning of word vikari? Changes that body, vikar. कौन से विकार जो है body undergo करती है? That I'm going to explain to you. So these are the 6 things Krishna is telling. Okay, I'm going to tell you more detailed knowledge about these 6 things. So in the further shlokas, Krishna will explain these 6 things. What the body is made up of, what are the qualities of the body, what all vikars the body go. Then the word comes yatah. Yatah, if you see the word, yatah, yata. So yata word means origin of the body. What is the origin of body? How body originally came? And then Swarupa. Swarupa here, the word used is Swarupa also. So what is the Yat? Yat also means what is the Swarupa of the body? Who is the knower of the body? And Prabhava. Yat Prabhava. What are the powers of the knower of the body? One who knows the body, what are the powers? So 6 questions are being asked. And in remaining upcoming shlokas, 13 means 13.6, 13.7, and many shlokas in this chapter. So entire chapter, Krishna is going to elaborate on the 6 topics which he mentioned. What the body is made up of, what are the qualities of the body, what changes the body undergoes, then what is the origin of the body, then what is identity of the knower of the body, who is knower of body, and what are the powers of knower of body. So in case you want to know which all shlokas, what all things are going to come, maybe I'll share the screen with you. You can note down this, or you can take a snapshot if it required. Uh, which all shlokas in the future upcoming slides, what all sections are going to come, so that in case you mark this, then it may help you and to understand what is going to come in the next. You are able to see the things through?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, as I mentioned, 6 questions are being asked. Yaccha. Yaccha म्हणजे बॉडी कैसे बनी है, किससे कंपोजिशन है, क्या क्या फॉस्फर, केमिकल, न्यूटन, सल्फर, पोटेशियम, किस चीज से बनी है, जैसे हम केमिकल कंपोजिशन बोलते हैं. तो इसका आंसर आएगा 13.6 श्लोकों में. So first Krishna is going to answer 13.4 the question is being asked, or he's telling. So first 13.6 this answer will come. Yadruk 13.7 changes that body undergoes 13.7 and 20. So maybe you can take a snapshot or note this down, so that in the further sections it will become easier for you to understand. So now so first Krishna will speak about again he will tell. So in 13.5 Krishna is going to say that, see beta, I won't be able to tell you in too much detail about all these things, because this is a very technical complicated matter. Even the birth of a child is a very complicated matter. What to speak about how the origin happened. The birth of a child itself is a like law of karma, which we decide how child goes into the birth through semen, and how the soul enters into semen, and how exactly the same soul comes through the food grains. The food grains are written by the man, and then it enters into the semen, then it enters into. It's a very complicated matter. So Krishna is going to say in the 5th verse, this knowledge, what I am going to speak, is in a very brief. But if you want to get the further information about all these things, then you should refer to Vedanta Sutras. And in Vedanta Sutras, much more detailed information is going to be spoken. So Krishna says many sages and many in various Vedic writings, this information is being given. And Krishna will speak some shloka, Vedanta Sutra shlokas, he will speak to give more elaboration. So here one lesson we learn, even Krishna quotes from the authorities. Krishna gives references to different authorities which are there. So whenever we also present any knowledge, we should also give reference to the authorities. So 5th shloka, coming to the 5th shloka. Okay, devotee can recite after me. Rishibir bahuda gitam
ऋषिभिः बहुधा गीतं
Chandobir vividai pritak
छन्दोभिः विविधैः पृथक्
Brahma Sutra Padaschaiva
ब्रह्मसूत्रपदश्चैव
Brahma Sutra Padaschaiva
ब्रह्मसूत्रपदश्चैव
Hetu Madbhir Vinishchitai.
हेतुं हेतुमद्भिर्विनिश्चिते.
Yes, bro, please read.
Although
Prabhu, your voice is breaking. Some other devotee can read. Your voice is breaking a lot. Some other devotee can read. Yeah.
Aditya Teppalwar, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, translation. Although Krishna has established his own position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest authority in explaining knowledge, and although he has just said in 13.3 that is my opinion, nonetheless, he gives evidences from 2 other authorities, the sages, and the scriptures to substantiate his words.
Yeah, this is a very important section.
Yeah.
Krishna, somebody speaking? Okay. So he said ki Krishna can say this is my opinion, and Krishna's opinion is the final opinion. Why does he has to refer to sages' opinion and other scriptures' opinion? Nonetheless, he says he gives evidences from authentic Vedic scriptures to substantiate his word. Although a supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, yes, Arjun Satyaprabhuji, you want to say something?
Yeah, Prabhuji, why would Lord say this is my opinion? But generally, he does never say that, right? And that leaves a room for the confusion for the others. Like
Somebody
we
could.
don't say for many other verses, he never said that this is my opinion. He always stated as the facts. But here we see that in third verse, at the end, he is saying this is my opinion.
Yeah, that is my opinion. First of all, like it is in a different sense. It is not a very means if you take it in a humble, like when we as a devotee present it, we say it in a humble manner, na? That is my opinion, Prabhuji. And like it's my opinion. So we take it's a humble way. But somebody has established his greatness already. Matta parantara sunanyat, mere upar koi truth nahi hai. I am the greatest. I am the cause of all causes. Bhokta ramya tapasam. So after this, somebody says my opinion means it has to be considered the final opinion. So some like in the company, boss also says it is my opinion. That's all. Then my opinion is boss is always correct. So it is not in the sense here that he's telling okay, room for confusion is let. My opinion means final opinion here, because already as established in other verses, why his opinion is the greatest because he's the cause of all causes. He's a greater. He's a all sustainer, maintainer, everything. So that's what Proji I felt. Since this is my opinion, means there is not in a humble sense. Sometimes we suggest na, that okay, that is my opinion, what to do. But it is Krishna saying that is my opinion. My opinion means it's a very gold weight opinion. But still he gives evidences from Shastras. Okay, Proji.
Yeah, that's correct. Your opinion is also correct.
Krishna. Yeah, yeah. Means I just repeated because if you see Roji in the other verses, Matta Parataram Nanyat and other Bhoktaram Ekatapasam, many places if you see Krishna says, this is according to me. This is my opinion. But he has already established his greatness. So his opinion is a gold weight opinion now. Hmm. Okay, so we'll go for some this purport is some vital points are there in this purport. Aditya Prabhu, you can read the purport for 13.5.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, bro.
Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the highest authority in explaining this knowledge. Still, as a matter of course, learned scholars and standard authorities always give evidences from previous authorities. Krishna is explaining this most controversial point regarding the duality and non-duality of the soul and the soul by referring to a scripture, the Vedanta, which is accepted as authority. First, he says, this is according to different sages. As far as the sages are concerned, beside him, Vyasadeva, the author of Vedanta Sutra, is the great sage. And in the Vedanta Sutra, duality is perfectly explained. And Vyasadeva's father, Parashar, is also a great sage. And he writes in his books of religiosity, Aham Tvam Cha Tathaye. We, you, I, and the various other living entities are all transcendental, although in the material bodies. Now we are fallen into the ways of three modes of material nature according to our different karma. As such, some are on higher levels and some are in lower nature. In the higher and lower natures exist due to ignorance and are being manifested in an infinite number of living entities. But the super soul, which is infallible, is uncontaminated by three qualities of nature and is transcendental. Similarly, in the original Vedas, a a distinction between the soul and the super soul and the body is made, especially in the Katha Upanishad. There are many great sages who have explained this, and Parashar is considered principal among them. The word uh, ch- uh, Chandobhi refers to various Vedic literatures. The Taittiriya Upanishad, for example, which is a branch of Yajurveda, describes nature, the living entity, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated before, Kshetra is the field of activities, and there are two kinds of Kshetrajna, the individual living entity and the supreme living entity. As stated in the Taittiriya Upanishad 2.5.1, Brahma Ucham Pratishtha. There is manifestation of the Supreme Lord's energy known as Annamaya. Dependence upon food for existence. This is materialistic realization of the Supreme. Then in Pranamaya, after realizing the Supreme Personality of Supreme Absolute Truth in food, one can realize the Absolute Truth in the living symptoms or life forms. In the Jnanamaya, realization extends beyond the living symptoms to the point of thinking, feeling, and willing. Then there is a Brahman realization called Vijnanamaya, in which the living entity's mind and life symptoms are distinguished from the living entity himself. The next and the supreme stage is Anandamaya, realization of the all blissful nature. Thus, there are 5 stages of Brahman realization, which are called Brahma Ucham. Out of this, the first 3, Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Jnanamaya, involves the field of activities and the living entities. Transcendent to all these fields of activities is the Supreme Lord, who is called Anandamaya. The Vedanta Sutra also describes the Supreme by saying Anandamaya Abhyasad. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature full of joy. To enjoy his transcendental bliss, he expands into Vijnanamaya, Pranamaya, and Jnanamaya and Annamaya. In the field of activities, the living entity is considered to be the enjoyer, and the different from him is the Anandamaya. That means that if the living entity decides to enjoy in doubting himself with the Anandamaya, then he becomes perfect. This is the real picture of Supreme Lord as the supreme knower of the field, the living entity as a subordinate knower, and the nature of the field of activities. One has to search for his truth in the Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra.
Okay, so some vital points here we find, as Prabhupada said. Srila Prabhupada said here, Krishna is explaining the most controversial point here regarding the duality and the non-duality of the soul, and is referring to Vedanta Sutras and in the Katha Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad. So there was one point which came about Brahma Pucham Pratishtha. So Supreme Lord is manifested. So we find at every stage we realize the presence and we depend on the presence of Supreme Lord in different ways. So the 5 koshas were being explained here. Annamay kosh. So in the small age, when the child is very small, so the realization of Supreme happens for us through Annamay kosh. Annamay kosh means we are dependent on food for existence. If you see small child is there, no matter what comes to him, he puts in his mouth. Whether it is if food comes, he'll put into mouth. Bottle comes, he puts into mouth. If a scale comes, pencil comes, whatever comes, even if a knife comes, he will put into mouth. So means he doesn't know anything apart from mouth. Anna means he knows everything. If he wants to be happy, then only one thing has to be done for him. He knows something has to go inside the mouth. That is Annamaya Kosh. Very basic and the gross level of very preliminary understanding of the Supreme Lord, that he is dependent. So it is said this is also called as manifestation of Supreme Lord's energy. This is manifestation of Supreme Lord's energy, and that is Annamaya. Then, so we realize Lord through this Annamaya. Then second comes is, also this is also materialistic realization of Supreme. Then second comes is Pranamaya Kosh. Pranamaya Kosh means what? After a few years, when the child grows, He understands that actual joy of life is not in the only anna. There is prana. Prana means when he wants to live. And you see, there is a pranamaya coach. This is a time when person wants to do some action. He is not just simply happy with the food. He even forgets food sometimes. Like I remember in the school days when we were small children, uh, we used to go to play sports, cricket, football, volleyball, badminton, different sports we used to go. And sometimes mother used to tell, बेटा कम खाना ठंडा हो रहा है, आ जाओ खाना भूख लगी है ठंडा हो रहा है. And we say, अरे छोड़ ना यार क्या खाने को बुलाते हैं मुझे. No, all these things are not important. And mother used to forcefully bring and father used to forcefully bring, and we are happy with playing and fighting. And you see small children, they have great enthusiasm, हाँ? एकदम ऐसा जॉय रहता है, जम मारते हैं, घूमते रहते हैं, मंदिर में भी आते हैं, घूमते हैं, जम मारेंगे, पीटेंगे, और उनको गिरते को भी लगता भी नहीं है. मतलब इतना ज्यादा, थोड़ा देर रोते हैं फिर से एकदम. देयर इज अ ग्रेट फायर, great enthusiasm. That is, so it is said they are mainly their source of happiness and the source of realization of supreme, because actually happiness comes only when they connect with the supreme lord, means in one way or indirect way. Supreme lords, whenever we connect with supreme lord, then only there is some kind of bliss. So in the initial stages the manifestation is through anna. Later he realizes that if he wants to get happy, then there is a prana. Prana is important. So he goes for some physical activity and all those things. Prana mein kuch. Later, he understands that what I am doing. I am just simply moving here, there, walking, playing, jumping. But there is some purpose to the life. So as soon as 5th standard, 7th standard, 10th standard में घुसता है वो, तब उसको बड़ी अकल जागती है. अरे केवल खेल कूद के का जीवन नहीं चलने वाला है. The life is little beyond all this खेल कूद, jump and all. And then comes his realization extends beyond the living symptoms of thinking. He starts thinking, what what क्या करना है मुझे जीवन में. Living, feeling. So उसको फीलिंग्स अफेक्ट करते हैं. बचपन में इतना फीलिंग्स इतना मैटर नहीं करता है, लेकिन अभी बाद में फीलिंग्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं. Whether somebody will get hurt, what people think about me, and all this. So he comes to a realization of Jnanamay. Jnanamay means it's a Jnanamay realization. And then there is Brahman realization. Brahman realization is called as Vijnanamay realization, where one starts understanding that he is separate from his body. He's separate from his body. He understands actually, like, so all the devotees, when we do device course and all, we find थोड़ा एक अकल जाग गया है कि मैं और मेरा शरीर थोड़ा अलग है. But majority of the people, if you see in the world, they still now don't have any clue about this only, that I am different than my body. So we understand my body is paining, my body is causing trouble. So we understand ourselves to be different than body. That is called as Brahman realization here. But this Brahman realization is in itself not the complete realization, or Vijnanamaya is not in complete realization. The next supreme stage he has to come, that is Anandamaya. Anandamaya means to realize one's own blissful nature by engaging in the service of Lord, and to realize the supreme blissful nature of Supreme Lord. So as I said, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Jnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, and then comes this Anandamaya. So these are the different koshas. So out of this, the first three, they are concerning only the fields of activities. And transcendental to all the fields of activities is the Supreme Lord, who is Anandamaya. So this was the discussion about. So Krishna is referring here to the different sages. Now we have to complete one very important verse today. So we have only half an hour with us for today. We have to read eight shloka also. 6, 7 will complete quickly. And then we'll come to 8th verse. One of the very vital verses of Bhagavad Gita, 13.8. Many might be very famous shloka from Bhagavad Gita. So we'll come to 6th, 13.67. Okay, one devotee can recite after me. Mahabhutani hankaro.
I'll ascend Prabhuji. Akshay Khatare Prabhu.
Mahabhutani hankaro.
महाभूतानि अहङ्कारो
Buddhiravyaktameva cha.
बुद्धिरव्यक्तमेव च
इन्द्रियाणि दशैकं च
इन्द्रियाणि दशैकं च
पञ्चचेन्द्रियगोचरा
पञ्चचेन्द्रियगोचरा
इच्छाद्वेषसुखं दुःखं
चाद्वेष सुखं दुःखं
सङ्घातश्चेतनाधृति
सङ्घातश्चेतनाधृति
एतच्क्षेत्रं समासेन
एतत् क्षेत्रं समासेन
सविकारम् उदाहृतम्.
सविकारम् उदाहृतम्.
So this is the sixth shloka. So here basically Krishna is going to say that what is this body composed of? So body is composed of five great elements. What are the five great elements? Or we call it as a Mahabhuta. Bhut is Mahabhut, five great elements. So what are the five? Pancha Mahabhut bolte na, Pancha Mahabhut. Pancha Mahabhut is uh, false ego, intelligence, and then other things what we know about mind and senses. So these are the Pancha Mahabhut. So in this shloka, he is going to speak about. Okay, we'll read the purport only because there are some vital sections here. The technical words will get very clear if you read the purport. Sometimes there is always a confusion for the devotees. ये महत तत्व क्या होता है, प्रधान क्या होता है, and 24 elements कौन कौन से हैं, 25th elements कौन से हैं, 26th elements कौन से हैं. So here he is telling about what the body is composed of. So in short, body is composed of 26 elements which are there. And what are those 26 elements? What is the categorization of the 26 elements? So in brief, five elements are Pancha Mahabhut. Pancha Mahabhut means earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are Pancha Mahabhut. Then there are five knowledge acquiring senses. What are the five knowledge acquiring senses? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. These are knowledge acquiring senses, Jnanendriya. So five Karmendriya, five Jnanendriya, five Panchamahabhut, and five, what are the five Karmendriyas? Voice, that the voice we are speaking, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. So Vacha, what we say? Vacha, then legs, hands, anus, and genitals. And what are the five sense objects? Five sense objects are smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. These are the five sense objects. And the 11th sense object is out of this is mind. And then intelligence, false ego, and then pradhan. So this all combined together come to be 24 elements of which the body is made up of. And 25th element is soul, that is Atma. And the 26th element is super soul. So this is the description of. Okay, you can read the proof. Some part of purport you can read. I'll just in between some important sections we'll read. Yes, proof, please read.
Purport. From all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns and the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the five great elements, Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the manifested stage of the three modes of nature. Then there are five senses for acquiring knowledge: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Then five working senses: voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Then above the senses, there is a mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are the five objects of the senses: smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now, the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, which are interactions, representations of the five great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms represented by consciousness and convictions are the manifestation of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The five great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represent the primal stage of a false ego, technically called the material conception or tamasa buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the three modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhan. One who desires to know the 24 One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail along with their interactions should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, a summary only is given. The body is the representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body, which are six in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material things. However, the kshetragnya, the knower of the field, its proprietor is different.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So here we find the more details will come ahead. I'm not going to speak the details about Pradhana. So the culmination of all those 24 elements and all the 24 elements along with three modes entering into them. Like sometimes, like if you know the preparation of atta, when we prepare atta, gehu ka atta, we want to make puris, or we want to make puran puris, or we want to make chapatis, or we want to make pakodas. Sometimes you have to make a flour, atta. And so in atta, like suppose you are making pakodas, right? You make a pakodas of different shape. So you want to make bangan pakoda, you want to make aloo pakoda and brinjal pakoda and different pakodas you want to make. So what all the different ingredients we make? We bring about atta, besan ka atta we put first of all. Besan we bring. Then some mirch we add, some the namak we add, and then some jeera powder or some different masalas. And I don't know, I'm not such a good cook. So those who are no cook, they may know much more better. So different items are mixed together. And but to bind it together, there is a need of what? Some kind of how to bind all them together. There is a need of some water or some kind of sometimes different oil or ghee or something has to be added. And then later they are put as a along with the binding agent, they are put to fry inside the that frying pan. And then the different shapes come. Some mirchi pakoda ka different shape, and then aloo pakoda ka alag shape, and gobi pakoda ka alag shape. Shapes come different. So this all atta combined together is called as Mahat Tattva. Mixture, a mixture of everything, that is called as Mahat Tattva or Pradhan. And when the gunas are also added, gunas is the binding agent, so they are added. That is all called as Pradhan. So with this, till now, Pradhan in itself is not an active force because there is no life there. There is no life there. When the soul and super soul enter, so the bodies are formed with the combination of this 24 elements. ये 24 elements का खिचड़ी बना के combination करके different shapes. Somebody gets a cat body, somebody gets a dog body, somebody male body, female body. So this all 24 elements, they come together and the modes are added to it. 3 modes are added to it, and then the soul will enter, the super soul will enter. Then the living entities come into action. They become animate. Without that, all the actions are inanimate here. So this is the more detail will come, how the binding happens, what is the binding agent which is used, how 3 modes are there. That will come in the next chapter. But in short, this is the way. Now we are coming to one very vital section. So this was about the we read till now which one? Which verse we read? 6th verse, no?
Yes,
And
Prabhu.
7, 6 and
6th
7.
and 7th we read. So so now Krishna is going to answer the 5th question. Means the like we remember originally Krishna, Arjuna had asked him, Jnanam kya hota hai? Kshetra kshetragnya jnanam gneyam. Means he wanted to ask about what is the process of knowledge. तो ये सिक्वेंशियल नहीं चलता है प्रभु. कभी कभी हमें लगता है ना कि एक के बाद दूसरा आना चाहिए, दूसरे के बाद तीसरा आना चाहिए. तो 6 चीज जो थी कृष्णा को बतानी है, तो वो भी बताने की बची है. पूरे चैप्टर में बताने वाले हैं कृष्णा. लेकिन अभी सडनली अर्जुन ने पहले 6 चीज पूछ चुकी है. अर्जुन ने पहले 6 क्वेश्चंस पूछे थे कि क्षेत्र क्या है, क्षेत्रज्ञ क्या है, ज्ञान क्या है, नियम क्या है, सब कुछ क्या है. तो अभी पहले वो अर्जुन का आंसर करेंगे, आंसर 8th वर्स में. और फिर से अपने उनको जो बोलना है वो बाद में वापस आंसर करेंगे. So it is jumping between something, there's something which Krishna wants to say and something which Arjuna had already asked, so he's going to answer. So now in the 8th verse, Krishna is going to answer about, Arjuna had asked about what is knowledge and how to get the knowledge. So the question 5 asked by Arjuna about knowledge, he is going to answer in this. So in the 13.3, Krishna spoke about Jnanam is the knowledge of body, soul, and super soul. But in order to acquire the knowledge, it is very like in order to acquire this knowledge, there is a need of some good qualities which are required for a person. Only good qualities are there, then this knowledge can be hold on. Like sometimes we say, na, there is a patra and there is patrata. So we need a patra. We need a patra to hold on something. Even if somebody wants to give you today, let's say we declare after this Bhakti Shastri class, all the devotees are going to get Basundi sweet, unlimited. So you say, so if you have, say, if you don't have a vessel to hold on, then you may take in hand. Somebody will directly take in the mouth. Somebody will try to take, but it will overflow. It will not hold. But when you have a patra, when you have ghada, some devotee immediately brings, Prabhu, I have a drum. Bring how much your basundi want to give. I have a big drum. So to hold on the content, there is a need of a patra. And how this patrata comes? So it is said knowledge. Knowledge comes when there are good qualities. When there are good qualities which are there, they hold the knowledge. And the first good quality which is required to hold on the knowledge, that is called as Vinayata or Namrata. So it is said Namrata helps us to hold the knowledge. Without Namrata, knowledge cannot sustain in us. It will break. So like there is a leakage in the pot. When there is a leakage in the pot, no matter what you add there, it will leak. But when there is a no leakage, some good qualities are there. So this will hold. So 8th verse onwards to 12th verse, Krishna is going to say, you are asking me about knowledge, but wait, before giving you knowledge, what is knowledge? You have to learn how to acquire this knowledge. What is the way to acquire knowledge? What is the process of getting this knowledge? So Krishna is going to speak about the 20 different qualities, 20 different qualities which are required for a person to get the knowledge. And they are called as 20 items of knowledge. So first 18, among the 20 items of knowledge, I'll ask you, there is one quality which is the most important. So there is one quality which is the most and the urgent one. If that is not there, all 19 items of knowledge become useless. They don't have any value. So this is a very famous shloka. Anyone has memorized amongst all of you this shloka? 13.8. I think Abhishek Prabhu is there. You have memorized this shloka? 13.8. So
Yes, Prabhu.
you can recite the shloka for all of us and then we'll read the translation. Yes, Prabhu. You can recite without seeing.
अमानित्वम् अदम्भित्वम्
Amanitam adambitvam
अहिंसा शान्तिवार्जवम्
ahimsa shantirarjavam
आचार्योपासनं शौचम्
acharyopashanam socham
धैर्यम् आत्मविनिग्रहः
dhairyam atma vinigraha.
Enter shloka 9
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Okay. इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम्
Indriyarteshu vairagyam
अहङ्कार एव च
ahankara eva cha
जन्म मृत्यु सर्वव्याधि
janma mrityu jara vyadhi
दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्
dukkha doshanudarshanam
आसक्तिरनभिस्वग्नः
asaktiranabhisanga
पुत्रदारागृहादिषु
utradara grihadishu
नित्यत्वं च सामचित्तत्वम्
nityam cha samachittatvam
इष्टानिष्टोपपातिषु
इष्टानिष्टोपपातिषु
मयि अनन्यच योगेन
मयि च अनन्ययोगेन
भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी
भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी
विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
अरतिर्जनसंसदि
भारतीर्जनसंसदि
अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्
आध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्
तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्
तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्
एतत् ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम्
एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम्
अज्ञानं यत् अतोऽन्यथा
अज्ञानं यतोऽन्यथा. So these are the 20. If you calculate, you will not find 20. This is a homework for you. So try to calculate how many qualities you find. You may find it 18. You may find it around 18 qualities only, but still they are called as 20 items of knowledge. So maybe in the next, it's there in the purport, but this is a little food for thought and exercise for you. What are the 20 items of knowledge? Okay. I'm going to leave this as a suspense for you. So whenever in the next class we come, so you have to tell me what are the 20 items of knowledge, not the, because here it is mentioned, if you calculate all those, they are called as 18. But Prabhupada will say 20. So what are the 20 qualities? So this is, so coming to the, yes, Prabhu, someone, Shantanu Prabhu, you can allocate some devotee?
Yes, Prabhuji. Next time. Aniruddha Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, you can read the translation.
Maybe Ankush Prabhu.
Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, enunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these are declared to be knowledge, and beside this, whatever there may be ignorance.
So I request all the devotees, we may read purport here, but we may rush little bit. A sincere request to all the devotees. This is one of the very beautiful purports of Bhagavad Gita, and this may really help you a lot. Very, very heart-touching purport. I can say very beautiful. All the qualities are being explained, and very, very one of my favorite purports. This is, I can say. So, and it requires a little time to read. Means now we may read as a matter of technical reading, but I request all of you after this, whenever you get time in the till the next week, please go through this purport once nicely. Underline the vital points. This may really, really help you a lot. This purport is very, very powerful. Okay. So here Krishna is here Krishna is telling what are the different qualities required to attain the knowledge. So in the Gurukul times also, children were first taught how to get the knowledge by rendering services. They were sent to the Gurukul and first learn the process of acquiring knowledge, and then you can hold the knowledge. But unfortunately today, we find there is no training about how to receive the knowledge. There is no training about getting good qualities. So here Prabhupada will also say, what is the process of getting knowledge? Yes, Prabhu, please read. I may highlight certain vital points. I may bold, but you can please go through this on your leisure and please read this purport maybe once or twice. Very, very beautiful purport. 13.8. Yeah. Please read, Prabhu.
This process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent men as being the interaction of the field of activity. But actually, this is the real process of knowledge. If one accepts this process, then the possibility of approaching the absolute truth exists. This is not the interaction of the 24 elements as described before. This is actually the means to get out of the entanglement of those elements. The embodied soul is entrapped by the body, which is casing made of the 24 elements, and the process of knowledge I described here is the means to get out of it. Of all the descriptions of the process of knowledge, the most important point is described in the first line of the 11th verse, Mai Chanya Yogena. The process of knowledge terminates in devotion devotion service to the Lord. So if one does not approach or is not able to approach the transcendental service of the Lord, then the other 19 items are of no particular value. But if one takes to devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, the other 19 items automatically develop within him. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, Yasya asti bhaktir bhagavatya akinchana sarvair gunes tatra samasate sura. All the good qualities of knowledge develop in one who has attained the stage of devotional service. The principle of accepting a spiritual master mentioned in the 8th word is essential. Even who takes to devotional service, it is most important. Transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, clearly states that this process of knowledge is the actual path. Anything speculated beyond this is nonsense.
So here you see the vital points. Transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master. So when one accepts spiritual master, that is the beginning of the transcendental life. And that's why, so what is meaning of accepting a bona fide spiritual master? Bona fide spiritual master means it is our Guru's Vani, our Guru's Seva, our thoughts about Guru, they revolve around the mind. Guru means herein, Prabhupada or any other our spiritual master. We have someone above our mind. We have someone above our intelligence, and that is superior intelligence. That is the words of Guru or words of Shastra, and they are ruling our over body. So it said this is the way, because our body is made up of 24 casing. पूरा casing है, 24 elements का casing है. But when one gets this knowledge, Acharya Pashanam, approaching a spiritual master, so then this casing breaks apart and one goes to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada says transcendental life begins, spiritual life begins when we accept spiritual master. And their words revolve around our mind and our intelligence. And that's why we say, na, Guru Mukha Padma Vakyam Chitete Koriya Kyam Arana Kori Homane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Yehi Se Utama Gati Jai Prasad Pure Sarvam Asha. So he said, what is the most again another point which came here is Ananya Bhakti. All 20 items, they carry some value when there is Bhaktir Avyabhicharini. Vyabhichar means mixture of Bhakti. When Bhakti is mixed with something. Avyabhichari means there is no mixture in the Bhakti. Bhakti is rendered as a Shuddha Bhakti and only to Krishna or only to means pure devotional service. So this is Avyabhicharini. So this was the first point, Acharya Pashanam. Next, someone else can read, Prabhu? Shantanu Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Arjun Sarthi Prabhuji.
As for the knowledge outlined here, the items may be analyzed as follows. Humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. The material conception of life makes us very eager to receive honor from others. But from the point of view of a man in a perfect knowledge, who knows that he is not this body, anything, honor or dishonor, pertaining to this body is useless. One should not be hankering after this material deception. People are very anxious to be famous for their religion, and consequently, sometimes it is found that without understanding the principle of religion, one enters into some group which is not actually following religious principles and then wants to advertise himself as a religious mentor. As for actual advancement in spiritual science, one should have a test to see how far he is progressing. He can judge by these items.
True. So this was about humility. Sometimes Prabhupada is writing, we give a lot of self-importance to our body. But he said, if we understand, first of all, we know we are not this body, whether honor comes, dishonor comes, which is useless, very difficult to practice. But mainly this is because of bodily conception of life. So he said, very beautiful definition of humility. So generally we should make a ratta of these definitions. Humility. Humility means one should not be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored by others. So, and that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said same way, na? Trinadapi shunichena tarorapi sahishnuna. In order to chant nicely, in order to perform bhajan very nicely, the first quality comes is Trinadapi shunichena. And amanina manadena. Not the next quality will come same as pridelessness and all. Amanina manadena. Amanina. So we should not be too much, not expect any respect from others. And and Jesus Christ also said same way. Only meek and humble can make his way to back to Godhead. So there's two qualities, humility and meekness. Okay, next is non-violence. Yes, Prabhu, someone can read.
Asim Prabha Prabhu.
Non-violence is generally taken to mean not killing or destroying the body, but actually, non-violence means not to put others into distress. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life and they perpetually suffer material pains. So, unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they may become enlightened and leave this material entanglement that is non-violence.
So in short, not preaching Krishna consciousness is also a violence. And preaching Krishna consciousness is non-violence. So it may, like, we find that some people are doing a lot of social service also, giving charity of food, charity of cloth, charity of so many other different activities which people do. But here we find Prabhupada is writing, unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence only, because we are keeping people in ignorance. So I used to get question, if I'm not preaching, why it is violence? So we find somebody, we are able to see that somebody house is on fire and is going to get died, and we know that fire is consuming his house, but we are not very eager to help him out because we know that he's going to die. So if we do not help a person by giving the spiritual knowledge, that is also practicing violence in one way. So non-violence means preaching Krishna consciousness. Tarorapi Sahishnuna. Next quality is Tarorapi. We'll try to take only this one more quality till tolerance. Tolerance and self-control, and then we'll stop. Other qualities I think may require more time. Yes, Prabhu.
Tolerance. Tolerance means that one should be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. If one is engaged in the advancement of spiritual knowledge, there will be so many insults and much dishonor from others. This is expected because material nature is so constituted. Even a boy like Prahlad, who only 5 years old, was engaged in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, was endangered when his father became antagonistic to his devotion. The father tried to kill him in so many ways, but Prahlad tolerated him. So there may be many impediments to making advancement in spiritual knowledge, but we should be tolerant and continue our progress with determination.
Just one more. Yes, Prabhu.
Simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. As for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessings upon the disciple because a bona fide spiritual master is a now, if he bestows these blessings upon his disciple, immediately
Your voice is breaking. Okay, I'll just read it. Your voice is breaking. So, if he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, that will make the disciple immediately advanced without the disciples following the regularity principles. Or the regularity principles will be very easier for one who has served spiritual master without reservation. So, we discussed on certain qualities about
Sorry, I do not know.
we discussed about we'll stop here in case question answers are there. So we discussed which all qualities. Now we discussed about qualities of approaching a spiritual master: simplicity, that is without any duplicity. Then cleanliness will come next, tolerance and humility. So these are the 20 items of knowledge, and the most important quality is ananya bhakti, bhaktir avyabicharini, that will come here. So here, this statement is a very amazing statement. If somebody, he said, if a bona fide spiritual master, if Guru bestows any blessing upon the disciple will be immediately advanced, even without disciple following the regulatory principles. So somebody may ask, how is it that if disciple doesn't follow regulatory principles, still he will be advanced? Or Prabhupada is clarifying there. Or in other words, it will become very easier for him to follow regulatory principle for a person who has served spiritual master without reservation. So this is a very beautiful experience generally, that when we have some Vaishnava above us who is ruling our life, or for whom we are living our life, then following of regulatory principles and all this becomes much more easier. Like we find in the I Will Build You the Temple, Param Pujya Giridhar Swami Maharaj writes in the Bombay episode, when Prabhupada, when Mr. Nair was making so many plans to defame him, that time a prostitute was also sent. So there is a very great detailed pastime that is given there. So it was not that only that one night that prostitute was sent. She was being sent from many days together, sometimes in the car, and sometimes, so very great detail Maharaj says. And one day it happened that Mr. Nair wanted to take Param Pujya Giriraj Maharaj in car for some important appointment and the deal. So in the car, three spaces with three seats were there. And one seat Mr. Nair sat, and one seat Maharaj sat. And Maharaj thought, okay, that's enough. And then suddenly one lady came. And this lady, now Maharaj was confused what to do, because some very influential people were sitting in the car, and this lady came. And this lady, uh, she sat exactly near Maharaj. So Maharaj was trying to avoid. Here, Baba, that time was Brahmachari, Giriraj Das Brahmachari, not Maharaj. So he was trying to avoid ki change the location. Mataji is sitting next. And she was making all bashful glances and smiles and all. And she was trying to agitate and disturb lot. And suddenly at one point of time, then again this incident continued at the night time, that this prostitute was sent at the night time. And immediately Maharaj said, don't think that, okay, he said, I am in the youth. I am only 21 years old that time. Maharaj said, I was just 21 years old that time. Don't think that I don't have passion and all those things, because I'm in youth, that passion will be there. So he said, but whenever the mind was even thinking, okay, this is a good opportunity. But he said, immediately, I remembered what Prabhupada will happen. Prabhupada won't be pleased with this. And he said, I loudly chanted out, Jai Prabhupada. And I gave a big blow to that Mataji and ran away from there, that immediately from there. So he writes in the I Will Build You Temple, in this section, he relates this, that if somebody is living a life for pleasing a spiritual master and constantly under the guidance, the following of regulatory principles and it becomes much more easier. So thank you very much, Prabhus. In case there is one small question, we have 2 minutes with us. We can take that question. Or if not, we'll meet next. So next week, Prabhu, we'll have Wednesday, Thursday instead of Thursday, Friday, because today Ekadashi, yesterday Ram Navami was there. That's why I think took this way. Otherwise, we'll have on Wednesday, Thursdays. Okay, na, bro? So
Yes, Prabhuji.
any short, quick question or any compliment, comment, or in case you want to say any corrections, you can give.
Prabhuji, just one small question. Can you describe little bit about simplicity? Because Prabhupada has just mentioned one line. Little bit more elaborate. I think simplicity is not so simple to acquire.
Prabhupada
Living in
said
this
simplicity
world.
means one should be so straightforward that he can reveal truth even to an enemy. That किसने चोरी किया है, किसने चोरी किया है. So that is not a foolishness, but I think that may require Prabhu. You can hear one lecture of Maharaj. Maharaj, I don't know if you have heard. There is one like very beautiful lecture by Param Pujya Radhanath Maharaj. 5 essential qualities of a Vaishnava. That is given in the Pune Yatra. Some of you may not have heard that lecture. It is in 2007 or 2010 something or 8-10. And Maharaj has spoken one quality for hours together. 3 to 2 hours, one quality Maharaj has spoken. So in that सरलता simply तो सरलता ही वैष्णवता है महाराज बोलते हैं सरलता is वैष्णवता simplicity and he speaks in a very great elaborate details about this quality of simplicity. So maybe for more details you can read that. The main purpose of our discussion today is not this discussion of qualities. We want to
Okay.
know how body came and how super soul came and all that, but it's a very powerful purport. So please go through this purport again. Thank
Sure,
you very
Prabhuji.
much for this.
Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna.
much. Hare
Vancha
Krishna.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Krishna.
sindhubhyavatsala
Sindhubhya iva cha
patitvanam
bhutanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Shri
Jai.
Guru ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank
Prabhuji,
you,
can I
Prabhuji.
ask one question?
Yes, bro.
Prabhuji, जो टेक्स्ट 6 and 7 में एक वर्ड कन्विक्शन आया था, 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence और उसके साथ लास्ट में लाइफ सिम्टम एंड कन्विक्शन. तो वहाँ पे कन्विक्शन का क्या मतलब है?
In the
The
life symptoms and the
6 है.
conviction.
हाँ, कन्विक्शन क्या है?
Where, Prabhu? Exactly you read? Oh, there, in the translation, no?
Dhriti. It says Dhriti, conviction.
Yes, yes.
Actually, mainly here is selling, no? Desire, hatred, happiness, distress. I am also exactly not very much clear about Dhriti, bro. Maybe I'll get back in the next class. I'll surely try to check. I thought it has to be some symptom or feelings only. This feelings, hatred, and wish and desire. I consider it like that. But especially it is coming after life symptoms. I'll check with some devotee and get back to you.
Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.